I'm Thomas, and you're listening to the Racing Podcast, where the UCI Gravel World Championship is approaching. So I invited Paul Voss because he reconned the course already, and we are going to preview the World Championships. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Thomas.
How are you?
I'm good. I'm now 3 weeks after my surgery on my collarbone, and I start to feel kind of normal again. And as you mentioned, I did the recon yesterday, and I was actually surprised how little pain I had on my bike during the really bumpy sections of the course.
That is so unbelievable. I mean, we talked about it in like the last German podcast that we did, but for the non-German speakers listening who didn't listen to that episode, it is just impressive. I mean, the fact that you are doing Worlds having broken your collarbone 3 weeks ago, that is unbelievable. Like, modern science and modern healthcare is impressive.
Yep. That's true indeed. Yeah, if you have a good surgeon, then that's helping.
Yeah, you went to like the German Herrentals.
So. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, to Dirk Tenner, and he knows his work quite well.
Yeah, he had a few collarbones to work on before yours. So, the world's course. So people in gravel, some of course always talk about like, UCI Gravel Worlds. Is that even a gravel race? Now you did the recon, and I mean, I checked out the course also. So what I can contribute at this point is just a few details. So it's like a lap course with like a 50-kilometer lap, and then there is like a 30-kilometer, I believe, not lead in but lead out to the finish line, but there I could be wrong. I checked it out on Right with GPS, and you pro men do 3 laps for a total of like 180k, and the women do 2 laps for 130k. That's what I know.
That's correct.
And for all the rest, please chime in and let the people know how this course looks like. I mean, I saw the first like Instagram type of videos, and there is gravel a bit, but how is it? Bumpy, rough? And especially like how is like the elevation profile? They mentioned on the website like one key section, which is like they write the highlight and the real challenge is the Bronstalweg, which features an average 8% gradient on gravel for over a kilometer. Funnily, Right with GPS says like 5%, not 8%, but okay, that's a matter. You never can trust these numbers anyways.
Yeah, no, that's on the way to the finish line. So after we did the circuit, we have to climb, I think, like 10 or 15 Ks to go, which is actually quite tough. But yeah, we'll come to that later. So in general, at the moment, the weather is quite like drizzling down all the time, so it's not raining properly, but it's also not fully dry. And as far as I can see the forecast, it looks like it will be cloudy all week, and also always with like 20 to 30% chance of rain. And when I did the recon yesterday on Tuesday, there was also 20 or 30% chance of rain, and it was raining. So they really took the 20 and 30%, and the course was still quite muddy and slippery in parts. It never really like deep mud, because like the foundation of the gravel, I would say, is like still quite hard, but it's definitely not a dry course at the moment. And some bits where you definitely have to pay attention that you're not sliding around. But in general, regarding the profile, I have to say that I thought the course will be not easy, but it felt for me it's actually a bit harder than it looks like on profile. I mean, okay. it could also be the reason because it wasn't dry yesterday, so it wasn't really like rolling that nice sometimes. And I think I had a 27.5 average, and it was just like a casual or just a normal endurance rides, so nothing special. I didn't push hard, but I would say usually that course in the dry, I would have been like a K faster or even 1.5 Ks faster easily.
Mhm.
So if it stays like this, I think the course is much more challenging regarding like the technical aspect, so the cornering, but then also all the climbs. And
Give me your
yeah.
mud analysis. What type of mud is it? Is it like the sticky peanut buttery type,
No.
or is it more okay? It rides off easily.
Yeah, it's like the typical like farm roads kind of mud, like when the tractor's coming off the farms onto the road, for example, then you have like this like slimy mud.
Yeah.
So it's not really, it's sticking to your bike, but it's not a problem. And yeah,
So no paint stick, but maybe a few mil extra tire clearance anyways.
Yeah, definitely no paint stick, but I will say, you don't need that much tire clearance, I would say. You're fine with like 2 mil, 3 mil to each side, so that should be enough. But yeah, like in general, I find the course demanding enough. Of course, if you do just one lap and you ride on your own or in a small group and you can like choose your line and you can relax, the course doesn't seem to be so hard. But when you imagine that you have to ride on the wheel, so like most of the time you don't know actually where you're going, so you can't take the ideal line and you have to push out every corner. The course is actually really demanding because you have a lot of like change of directions. You have a lot of small hills, which are steep enough that you actually have to get out of the saddle. So it's not like an easy rolling course, and yeah.
So the puzzle that we need to play today is to find out which type of riders can succeed on this course, and then also find out who will be there in good shape to make our picks eventually. But for a second, going back to the course, what I saw as well is like in like the little bit of video footage that I already saw, it seemed like there is a lot of also small path where probably 2 riders can ride next to each other, and of course like taking over becomes really tough in these sections. How is the start, and how quickly does it? How hard is the start going to be?
Yeah, so what I think I didn't do the proper start, but I did the first case. And I think maybe people who did last year's Worlds remember that it was really important to be at the front of the start line.
Yeah.
Because it got tied directly. And this year I would say you have a bit more time to actually get into position because you're riding through the start area in big in the start town, and it's on tarmac, and then you go out of town and you have the first small hill, which is not super demanding, but it's like steep enough and long enough to actually move forward. And then you have further few Ks on tarmac. So, and that's just a normal 2-lane road. So it's actually wide enough, I would say, to get into position. And yeah, so I think the starting position is still like kind of important, but doesn't play such a big role as maybe last year.
That's good to hear, because many people, especially gravel people, complained about it because they said there was basically, once you started like behind 80th position, you had no chance to get to.
Yeah, I mean last year,
yeah,
it kind of was the case, but then also I can tell you that a lot of guys came from the back to the front, so obviously you need the legs as well. It's not all like it's always easy to complain about certain things, but if you're good enough to be up there in front, you can make it to the front. Yeah.
And let's talk also a bit about like the circumstances and the rules around the course. I remember.
Sorry, before we go there. So just in general, when you look at like Ride with GPS, I think it says almost 50-50 tarmac towards gravel, and or tarmac versus gravel. And yeah, I kind of can agree with that, but the tarmac bit doesn't feel like you're doing a road race. It's like a welcome change to the gravel. like bits where you actually can pass riders and can move forward. And then also what you shouldn't forget is like, I mean, yesterday the wind wasn't that strong, but recent days we had like a really strong wind all the time in this area. And that can really play a big role on race day. So if there's a slightly bit more wind than we had yesterday or than I had yesterday, you will see a lot of crosswind action, like on the gravel and on the road. So I think
Nice.
the road bit is actually also really demanding in that sense. Yeah.
Let's jump a bit into the rules. I remember last year you told me when we talked after the race that for you it was like super challenging to organize your feeding in a competitive way because you have a small team and then you had like the big teams like for instance the Netherlands slash the Belgium team that was supporting MVDP at like a bunch of feed stations with their world tour team, the Alpecin crew essentially doing the feeding. Did they change this or is it still the same mode this year?
So what has changed to last year is actually worse for privateers, and because now there's no, so like you basically can feed and change equipment everywhere you want on the course, but it has to be on tarmac and it has to be not in a descent. So as soon as you go on tarmac and it's not a descent, you're allowed to feed and exchange wheels. You can't exchange bikes. So that's a new rule for this year. And that means, yeah, if you're really well organized and you have a lot of support staff, you actually can be at a lot of different points throughout the course. And what I will have loved is that they actually say, all right, we have on that course, we have maybe like 3, maximum 4 stations, which are fixed. And like, let's say, feed stations, which are just for like the pros, elite, so for man and woman. And then for like the age groups that you separate that, because otherwise it's gonna be a big chaos. But yeah, unfortunately they changed it to like that you actually can feed wherever you want. My sister Sarah, who's usually with me, has made already a plan, but I have a few more people this year on site, but still we won't be able to cover that much because it's also hard to come to certain points on the course in time. So yeah, I think I will have 3 points on a lap where someone will be with wheels and feet. But if you're really well organized and you have a lot of cars available, you actually can be at like, I don't know, 5, 6 points. Yeah.
Okay, wow. That makes it an organizational challenge for all the gravel people without the big team support, especially for those who don't live close by.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a shame, but I think that rule comes from the road. I think on the road that is already the rule, and they implemented it also in gravel
Like this.
now.
Yeah. Funnily enough, I just had a discussion yesterday with somebody on Instagram, and we talked a bit about like European gravel, and that was exactly my point. That like because road racing is so big in Europe, we have a lot of people with a road background currently being influential in how gravel is run, what the rules are, and I think that is clearly visible if you don't want to judge this, but it's like becoming more road like, unlike for instance in the US where it's more grassroots and you have more like people who are, let's call it, native gravel folks running the show, running the races. But that's just an aside. Let's stick with the world course. So you rode the course, you checked out the conditions. I assume you also thought about how you would expect this race to go and to unfold. Like, is it going to be super selective from early on? Like, for instance, you mentioned the climb briefly after the start. Do you think that the race is going to shatter into pieces from early on, or will it be a pretty big group that potentially ends in a sprint finish even? What's your anticipation there?
I think it really depends on like how the race is ridden. Tactics can play a big role, but I mean this year on the men's side, or it's, again, we have a lot of like change of directions, so the wind can play a role. Then we have a lot of like not really technical descents in a sense of like being like massive single trails, but it can be technical if you have to follow in 10th position going somewhere down. And yeah, we have a lot of like these farm tracks where you have actually like the possibilities to ride with 3 riders next to each other, but like let's say 2 lines are really slow and 1 is fast, so you will have a lot of like jumping around, between the different perfect lines, which makes it dangerous. So I think all these things will play a role. And when I look the men's lineup, I think that someone like Mathieu is not here, Mathieu van der Poel and Wout van Aert have a big impact. If Mathieu will be here, I think we will see like a real controlled race like last year, to the point where he will like to attack. Mm-hmm. Because last year the Dutch Federation plus some Belgian riders from his trade team were actually riding for him. So they really controlled the race, and there was actually no point in going in a breakaway. But this year, I see the possibility that even like an early breakaway, like a strong breakaway, can make it to the finish line, depending on how long it takes that the breakaway goes and who is in there. But you don't really have a disadvantage riding in front. So like, let's say in a 5-man break, of course you're more often in the wind, but you have so many changes of directions that the fight for position will be quite big in the bunch, and is actually more relaxed in the front. But then obviously you need also the engine to be able to, like, I don't know,
do it,
go in a certain pace for 4.5 to 5 hours. And I really think it really comes down to the point where you have to, like, for me, I will go into the race and see what the other guys are doing. So like how the dynamics are, because it's not like a normal race like on the road where certain nationalities that take control, but I don't know if Belgium is riding together or if they're riding against each other, the same with the Dutchies. So you really have to wait for that. I know that probably the Slovenian guys, they're going to work together for Mohoric. Mm-hmm. I think they did it already 2 years ago when he won the World Championships, and I think they will kind of like look for him. But maybe the Italians, they're also usually looking after each other, but I don't see that they have any big favorite. So I think it really depends on like what the guy's doing. On the women's side, I think there could be the chance of a controlled race if the Dutchies want to control it. What I've seen from the course, so that's just taking the laps we're doing, I think for me Lorena Wiebes is the big favorite. But
let's not talk
the last
people. We'll get there.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So I think on the men's side, it's a really open race, and we have to see what happens in the race. To make any predictions beforehand is really hard because you don't know how they're going to play it out. On the women's side, again, it could be chaotic, maybe like last year a bit.
Yeah.
But if they decide to control it, then I think we could see a showdown for like the last steep climb, like 10 to 15 Ks out of the finish.
And let's also not ignore that it's like significantly shorter. It's like 130K race. So really short, especially for the original gravel people. So if you take this into account, and you talked about breakaways that could go and that could stay, which again, like we saw this a lot in gravel races this year, and there are certainly some people that I think could try this approach, and some people even who I assume if they manage to get away could stay away. Where do you think that would happen? Because like you already said, the most selective climb is in the outro of the lap, so it comes when we are approaching the finish, but that is not where a break would form. So what would be a good point for this to happen actually?
I mean, again, there's so many corners, there's so many little hills. I can't point out a certain point where I think a group could go. It just just normal race dynamics. You will have attacks over attacks, and then at one point everyone is tired and the group will go, or you maybe have like 2-3 riders blocking the road, but I don't know where it actually can happen. Then also like depends how strong the wind is. If the wind is actually really strong, like we had like the last week, then it just could also happen that the race is over after like 20 Ks because a really strong group goes just up the road with all the big names, So
what I'm checking
really
right now from a fan's perspective is when they actually start the live broadcast, because this sounds to me like it should be a race to watch in its entirety, because maybe the breakaway formation phase will be the most interesting and the most relevant. I'm checking this out, but I have in the meantime another question for you, because you also already mentioned teams, and like in gravel worlds, like all the national federations handle it quite differently. Some organize their team and assemble it, and some don't. So for instance, the Dutch federation already last year had like a core team of people, like not all the I don't know how many riders wore their jersey in the race, but like from the elite field there was some coordination. I remember last year in the German team, for instance, there was none. Do you know which teams have some sort of organization this year?
No.
Okay.
So I think like the big guys, like UAE, so Tim Valence, he will have his own support group from the team. I guess they will send some people. Then Tom Pidcock will have his own guys, and just like I do, I have also my own people. So I think you will see a lot of single persons for like for single riders. I think in the women's race, maybe the Dutchies are a bit more organized.
Yeah.
And maybe also on the men's side that they're trying to organize something, because it's also in the Netherlands, the World Championships, and they kind of have like a dictated national coach with Laurens ten Dam for gravel. So I think there could be a chance that they actually have support crews from the national team. But I know from most nationals, or from most nations, that they don't have their own support crews from the federation. I mean, just in Germany, in Germany. Yeah.
Do you know your start time by head?
I think it was 11:45, but I think it moved to 12. But I'm not sure, because they already announced that they moved it by 15 minutes. But I don't know if 11:45 is already the time they changed it from, or it's like, so if it went from 11:30 to 11:45, or from 11:45 now to 12. So I have to find out that.
Okay, now, but either way, I can tell you that the broadcast, and that's also important for everybody listening interested, is starting at 2:15 p.m. and that of course is Central European time. So that's just to say we are going to miss the start, and depending on how it goes, the most, or at least a very important phase, will not be seen by us. Let's hope that on the Instagram we have some people, and I assume we will have some people giving us some overview from the side of the course.
I think, that's then 2.5 hours into the race, most likely, and that's for the men's race. It's like maybe just 2 hours of racing left. So I think, a really crucial and actually nice part to watch won't be broadcasted. Yeah.
Well, it is what it is. We have to take what we get as fans of gravel in 2025. So let's talk a bit about names, shall we? You already let drop a few of them, but let's start on the women's side. And while I didn't manage to obtain the official start list so far, I took what was publicized so far to assemble it. And let's maybe go through a few names, and then let's think about the type of riders that you think can do well on this course. So we have Marianne Voss trying to defend her title. Of course, she won the World Championships last year. We have Kasia Niewiadoma, or Kasia Niewiadoma, Misha Bredewold, who, by the way, was like third in the European time trial, which probably didn't have like the strongest field, but I found that a noteworthy result just last weekend. We have Yara Kastelin, we have Lorena Wiebes, Puk Peterse, Femke Markus, Paulina Royakas. So you see a lot of World Tour names and notable World Tour names in here. And then I also wrote down a few native gravel names, which are at least interesting. We have Axel Dubois-Prévost, her sister, who was announced as doing it, as we found out before. She just had surgery, so she's definitely not going to do it. Then from a German perspective, Rosa Klöser, we know she had like a brilliant season on gravel.
Again, like now Gravel World Championships just made a post and confirmed Pauline Ferrand-Prévot. We actually, before we started the recording, we read an article that she had a surgery on her ankle. Yeah, 4 days ago. So yeah, let's see.
It would be surprising if she would be there, but then I don't think that she would be a favorite on this type of course. But that's a different topic. So we were at the gravel names. We have Rosa, we have Gerike Schreurs as well, and these were the names that I noted down. I don't know if you would add any others to the to watch list. And then, as I said, the exercise we have to do is riddle it down to who stands a chance on this type of course. So how would you classify the type of rider that can be good? I would say, from what I've learned from you, it's almost like a classics course, but not like Ardennes classics, but like spring season, like the Belgium classics.
Yeah, it's not. It kind of has a bit of a DNA of like an Ardennes classics, but not fully. The climbs are not long enough for that.
Yeah.
So when I was riding it yesterday, I really thought about Lorena Wiebes until I came to like the last final steep climb. But so I think it really comes down to the point how the Dutchies want to tackle it. If they feel confident in Lorena Wiebes being able to win it. I mean, she just won, I don't know, like almost every race she did in the last weeks and months. So she won yesterday, Binchi, which is not so easy. And I don't know, she's on a winning streak. So I think those hills on like the circuit, they shouldn't be too hard for her. And it comes down to positioning and to tactics in the end. But if they decide they want to go with her, and I think there's a big chance of her winning it. The last climb is actually really steep at the beginning and really like uncomfortably steep. And before you come into this last steep climb, I think it's 10 k's to go, or 12, I can't remember. You're on like kind of like a single track path next to the river. So the fight for position will be there beforehand. And it's really crucial to be up in front, because you go into the climb. The first bit is on like really old rough tarmac, and then it turns into gravel. And on top, it's flat. It's not going down. So you have to ride through the little town before you're going into a descent where crosswind could play a role. And so therefore, it's quite a tough climb, and it's not just like a 2 or 3 minute effort. It's actually a bit longer, as you have to keep going on top.
Yeah.
So I think that could be like the most crucial part of the course. And yeah, it really depends on tactics. But yeah, for me, Lorena Wiebes is the favorite at the moment. But then also during the ride, I thought this course really is also something for Rosa Klöser, the German rider. She's obviously in a really strong shape, and I think it will be hard for her to win it. But I can see her on like riding for third spot.
So I was thinking about this too, and I have a question for you. So, like you mentioned, you expect like the team controlling for Lorena, maybe a few teams controlling, but of course, like in racing, there are some people you control for, these are marked riders, and some people you let go because you think especially like the road teams, if they approach this race with a road tactic perspective, which maybe they do because they come from the road, then there are certain people you let go. And now my question is, would you assume that Rosa Klöser and also Gerike Schreurs G fall into the category of marked riders for them, or are these just these gravel, let these gravel pros have a bit of fun in the front of the field?
I mean, they know Rosa from the road, and
They know her, but she's like on the road. She had like a 30th place finish at
yeah,
Paris-Roubaix.
but there, it's also important how she got to that 30th place. So it's just the placing itself don't really show what she did in some races. So I think you really, you can't let her go. I think no one will Rosa just go. But then all the other names on your list here, almost everyone is Dutchy, So, which makes it really complicated. So, either they decide we're going to race for one, or we say, right, we have so many good riders here, just go. And then let's see who comes out first.
Yeah.
It usually works out somehow for them. But I'm really curious how they're going to play it. I mean, in the end, they have so many favorites. With Voss, Bredewold, then Yara Kastelein. She's good in these hills, but then she's also like a cyclocross rider, so she has the technical skills.
Yeah.
I think for Paulina Royakas, the course is too technical, so I don't see her really playing a big role. Then Gerike Schreurs is obviously, she had a really good season as well. Puk Peters is a specialist in these kind of races. Then Femke Marcus, she's fast, but can also climb well. So it's like you have loads of riders who are actually able to win this race.
Yeah.
But in the current shape, I think Lorena Wiebes really wants to win it. And except from the last climb, I think it's hard to drop her. Yeah.
I mean, of course, like as a gravel fan, my wishful thinking dream scenario would be Rosa and G, like they used to do at several races in the last month, get away, make it hard from the start, right together, and the World Tour people start too late to really invest in the chase. But if you assume that Rosa falls in the category that nobody is going to let go, then of course that's not going to happen. But it would be the one scenario how she could win it, and I think she's going to try to get away early and make it hard from the start, because that is her type of racing.
Yeah, but we will see. I mean, it's also it could be a tactic going away early with 1-2 from the Dutch Federation, and then just hoping that no one is chasing. But I think we have to see. As I mentioned before, it's not like your usual road race where you have like certain team tactics falling into place because a national team is riding for a certain dictated leader. It's here a bit different,
So
sorry. Then, and before we jump to the man, I also have to mention that so after this last steep hill, it's still quite technical, and I would say for a few Ks, it feels like you're at the Bike Path World Championships, because you're literally jumping from bike path to bike path into Maastricht, on the way into Maastricht, and it's also still quite technical, so it's hard to really gain time. So to close a gap, but then also when you have a gap, actually it's easier to stay away. But then the last 3Ks or so are just on this really big bike path, which is really smooth gravel, it's just I don't know how you say it in English, like an alley in German. How you say it in English?
An alleyway.
An alleyway, and then the last 1.5 Ks are literally just straightforward. So if we have a sprint, we will have a sprint on smooth tarmac, and smooth gravel, and there is actually nothing to lose there technical wise. It's pretty straightforward.
All right, interesting. On the men's side, I will give you the names that I noted down. Of course, the headliner is Tom Pidcock, starting this race. We have retired World Tour pro and by now almost notorious gravel racer and winner of gravel races, Romain Bardet. We have, as you already mentioned, Matej Mohoric. We have the Vermeersch brothers, I believe, Gianni and Florian.
No, they're not.
They are not related?
They're not siblings. No, they're not related. No.
Okay. See, learning new stuff. Then we have Niels Pollitt, Quinton Hermans, Tim Wellens, Connor Swift, Tim Mellier. And I've noted 2 native gravel names as well, one being Mats Wirtschmidt. And then I have, he's not a native gravel name, but he's also not a roadie. I have him here for the funs. Enrique Avancini, like former mountain bike professional who found gravel racing, made him ride the bike again. So that's my list.
Yeah, so I think we have to consider that on Saturday is Il Lombardia, so like the last road monument of the season. And guys like Tom Pidcock is definitely racing Il Lombardia and he wants to win it. So he will have to take a probably private jet to get from Italy to Maastricht in time for the race on Sunday. So he will have I think 200 something Ks in his legs, quite demanding case. So I think he won't be as fresh as everyone else. Then also I'm questioning if Tim Wellens is doing it in support of Tadej Pogacar, but as the start list is not out yet for the race, I can't confirm it. And then the same is for Gianni Vermeersch, but I guess he will have a free role and can prepare for the World Championships. So if Tom Pidcock will not have done Lombardia the day before, I think he will be for me not the big favorite, but definitely the favorite.
Yeah, he's in good shape recently on the road.
Yeah, but then also he didn't. I don't know if he did the recon of the course maybe a few weeks or months ago. I don't think so, to be honest. So I think also the team maybe arrives there and hasn't really reconned the course properly, and so that could be to his disadvantage. But we will see. But if I take the list there, I think for me, someone like Florian Vermeersch, who was now already 2 times on the podium of the Worlds, is again a really big favorite. And if Tim Wellens doesn't do Lombardia, I think he is probably, for me, the most dangerous guy. Then obviously someone like Niels Pollitt, he will be good as well. And I think Henrik Avancini is, I think they put him on this list or publicly announced him because he's a superstar in Brazil. And you also saw underneath that post when they announced it, all the comments were from Brazil. So I think that was a nice marketing thing, but I don't see him really playing a role.
No.
Tim Mellier, I think for him, the course could be in the final on that climb a bit too tough, but maybe he surprises me. Yeah, it's really hard to point out a certain guy, Quinton Hermans, on his day is really strong, but I think Florian Vermeersch, Tim Wellens, and Tom Pidcock depends on his race the day before.
Is it
really the favorites?
Is it too easy for Bardet?
No. It's Bardet is technically really skilled. I mean, he has done a lot of mountain bike races in the past, and he also likes to risk things. So I think he maybe throws something away too early before he actually gets in a situation to win the race. I mean, if he wants to win the race, he has to come alone to the finish line. If he has to sprint against someone, then most likely someone will be there who is faster than him. And so therefore, I think he's good for a medal, but to win the race, I think the course is not hard enough. The climbs are not long enough,
So I guess we both agree that Mats Wirtz-Schmidt is one of the strongest guys in the gravel circuit right now. How would he have to approach the race to win it? Does he have to
going
get away? I don't think he can.
Yeah,
He would have
yeah,
to, right?
yeah. He has to go in an early break. Yeah, and he has to get into like kind of like a break, and then like just be the strongest out of the break. Yeah, I think just waiting for like the final for that climb. I see him going to the line, riding for the win. But again, I think there will be people who might be faster than him.
Yeah.
And but if he really goes to win it, I think he has to go through like just having a really tough race. That means going in and break, and just getting a certain advantage, and then hoping that he's strong enough that the guys can't close it in. But what you can't forget is like, as we probably won't see like proper team tactics, if there's like a 2 or 3 minute gap to some strong guys, it's really hard to chase it down.
Yeah.
To chase that down, you actually have to work together. And that means that the favorites, that the favorites have to start to work together quite early on for their likelihood. And so there, it's like, there's like a little chance, and that, well, there's obviously always a chance that it can come back together. But if you have a guy like Mats in the front and maybe 2 or 3 other strong guys, it could be hard to really bring it back. But then again, I have to say, like the last climb is so hard. You can easily lose or gain a minute just there. So yeah.
Interesting. Who, like from the other names on the list, who else should be interested in getting ahead from early on? So maybe even Mohoric would try to get away, no? With the other names?
I mean, the races I have done with him in gravel, he was always really proactive. And if he does it, and if he really feels it, he will definitely try to like take the race apart early on, I think. He also usually likes hard races. So, but then the same goes for Connor Swift.
Yeah, and I could name him. So that would be a nice 3-man breakaway, no?
Yeah, but then also Nils Pohle, I think I don't know how much he actually prepared for this race. And I know he sometimes does in the winter cyclocross races, so technically he's skilled enough. But then also, again, like gravel races have a certain dynamic, and if you're not up for it in your head, so not like 100% focused, you easily can lose yourself a bit.
And that is like we saw Connor Swift already doing quite well at Gravel World Championships and being up there. So he has at least a concept of how these races go. Mohoric obviously won it 2 years ago, and that means interesting how they will race it. But we also, I think my takeaway is it is a pretty wide open a race, which also makes it interesting.
Yeah, that's true. But who you think gonna win, or like who you think gonna be the podium?
I mean, yeah, if we do podiums, so if Pidcock, so did you confirm that he's doing Il Lombardia, or do you assume?
Yeah, he's
confirmed.
doing Il Lombardia. Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that factors into it, of course. Still, I think on a podium list, I would have him, regardless. And then it is really tough. I also believe like Wellens is super strong, so why not let's have him there. So you see my confidence isn't super high in this, and then just because I want to have like a gravel person on the podium, I put Mats on there as well. Oh, and of course it could be super different, and the outcome. Not having Mathieu there definitely spices things up.
Yeah. I think. So my podium is Tim Wellens for the win. Then, I mean, at the moment I'm just looking on this like favorite list, you sent over, so it's like hard to like really like know all the names. I mean, I also know that there are a lot of like continental riders who perform quite well in the UCI races, and they sometimes can really surprise at these kind of races. So it's hard to really know all the names. But for me, it's Tim Wellens. I think Florian Vermeersch again, and let's say Tim Melier in the sprint for third place.
Nice. So on the women's side, we didn't have pick a podium there.
Yeah, I would say Lorena Wiebes, then Rosa Klöser third, and second. I mean, that scenario, I obviously think it will be like a bunch or like a group sprint of like, I'd say 5 to 8 girls.
Yeah.
And then second, it's really hard. I mean, Kasia isn't winning if it's a sprint.
Yeah.
But if she's really riding and she's up there, she's a podium candidate. And I mean, yeah, also Marianne Voss. I don't know. It's complicated. Let's say Wiebes, Niewiadoma, Klöser.
So, like in no particular order, I also have Wiebes, Klöser, and I will put Puk Pieterse there. I mean, she probably didn't have the best season this year as far as I followed the Women's World Tour, but still, she's a very strong rider, talented off-road, and I like her. I would like her to be up there. And yeah, with that, we picked our podiums. So let's end probably on your approach to the race, especially given your injury. What is your mindset going into it?
Yeah, I mean, without that injury and like a perfect lead up to the race, I like the course as it is. And it would have been like not a perfect course, but like a pretty ideal course, even better than last year's course for me. But yeah, in this circumstances, I really don't know. I mean, I try to be relaxed, but as always, I love to do World Championships and European Championships, so I getting nervous and I getting excited and getting overly ambitious and losing losing it to be relaxed,
Mm-hmm.
So because I could just take it easy, as I'm coming from surgery and so on, so I don't really have that much pressure. But I want to perform as always. Yeah, I don't know, man. I will go into the race and I will see. I won't be far at the front at the start line because I didn't score so many points this year in the UCI events. So I have to make my way up and I have to read the race. If I see the possibility of like an early group going away, I will definitely go for it. But if I feel I have really, really good legs, I might also risk it and stay in the bunch. But I really, really have to decide on race day. But I try to be as relaxed as possible. But I don't think that will be successful.
Hard to implement, yeah.
Hard to implement, yeah.
Well, thanks a lot for taking the time to especially tell us what the course is like a few days before the race. We're recording this on October 8th.
One last thing, tire recommendation. So I did the recon on 45 mil Schwalbe G1 RX, so like the rough tire with a lot of grip. And at the moment, I will also choose that tire combination for the race. So like front and back RX. And I will definitely stay with 45 mil tires. Maybe going in the back on like a faster tire, the RS, but at the moment I would prefer to have more grip and control over my bike than towards better rolling resistance.
How could we do a preview without talking tires? Thank you for throwing this in there. Otherwise, this wouldn't have been a gravel podcast. So yeah, I
exactly
up here. But yeah, I mean, like getting the word from the course is so valuable to judge it. So thanks for taking the time, and let's see how it all plays out. again, like, it's a shame we don't get to see the full race, because I can assume that maybe the race won't be decided by the time we get to see the live stream. But yeah, we still probably missed a lot of decisive moves and action. What I, by the way, also want to say, so I set the time of the men's race, which in real time, sorry that I don't have this top of my head, but I will. So the men's again start at 2:15 Central European time, but then on Saturday there is the women's race. Unlike most gravel races, we get to see the women race separately, and that is going to be streamed or broadcast starting at 1:30 p.m. Central European time. So if you're watching, if you're following along, enjoy the Gravel World Championships. Paul, good luck to you. And if you haven't yet, make sure that you subscribe to the podcast wherever you listen to your podcasts. And if you leave a nice little rating, preferably 5 stars, we are also very glad. Have a good remaining week.
Yeah, you too. Thank you. Bye.